Hearthstone players. We're here this morning to finish up our EU Grand Finals from our last EU Championship tournament. We'll be seeing Tipo and No Time to Cry here finishing off the finals today. Those players have been notified that they can get started whenever they're ready. So, while we're waiting, I've got Thunder here with me, of course. Thunder, welcome. Good to have you.
Good morning. Honored again to join your distinguished casting company.
That's right. Where you don't get paid, but you have to work. Yeah, it's a good gig. Um, all right, so while we're waiting for these players to get started here, let's take a quick peek at their deck list. So I got Tipo's deck list up right now. And Thunder, we were talking about this a little bit before we went on the air. So,
Right.
the hunter here has been banned out by No Time to Cry. So we've got priest, paladin, and warrior, none of which are rogue or druid. So already kind of an interesting sort of thing going on here. What do you think of this lineup, the priest, paladin, and warrior here that are left?
Yeah, my heart says Tipo without carrying the two strongest decks in the format, but my brain does say no time to cry. Um, yeah, looking at the lineups, I think there's a couple of weak points in Tipo's lineup. I think the priest is going to have an uphill battle into both rogue and druid, um, but definitely has a chance and is a bit stronger against the hunter.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Um,
that same thing. That said, No Time does have this kind of face hunter that he's brought, and face hunter doesn't do well into just about all of these decks. Face hunter with some traps, so it doesn't do super well into all of those. So that might be the one concern here for No Time is he's got a fast hunter deck that seems like it may not do super well against these kind of more
yeah, that's right.
controlly decks.
I think it's a face hunter with um, I guess a full trap complement. So one of the interesting matchups I'll be looking out for is if it goes up against the Worgen Warrior. So it's a very technical matchup. A lot of it hinges around the one copy of Freezing Trap, and if he can keep the board clear before the Worgen comes down.
Yeah, the freezing trap so important against Worgen Warrior. Um, that said, I think that is just about the only counter in the deck to be able to stop the Worgen from coming down. So we'll see. Starting off here with Tipo on Priest against No Time's Druid deck. This is kind of a faster Druid deck. It's got Power of the Wild, got Wild Pyro. Does still have a top end, but not much in the sixth slot.
Yeah, if the priest can sustain until Ysera comes down, that's a quite a strong card against Druid. They don't really have any removal,
Absolutely.
apart from using a full combo.
Yeah, yeah. Killing the Ysera body is extremely difficult for a druid, and even if you silence Ysera, they still get one card off of it, and they still have a 4/12 minion on the board. So,
Yeah,
no time though, starting off with a pretty strong innervate here into a taunted up Druid of the Claw. Might be tricky here to clear it. I can see Injured Blade Master plus Holy Smite should be able to deal enough damage here to remove the Druid of the Claw. And look at No Time's hand. Other than maybe just a Power of the Wild for +1/+1, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do much about that if Tipo does decide to throw out the Injured Blade Master this turn.
yeah. I'm looking at you. Kind of really need to put some tempo on the board. I don't think you can afford to play slow with like a Thought Steal
I think so too. Yeah.
here.
Yeah. The things that Thoughtsteel can find in this situation are, I don't think, particularly helpful. Maybe finding Wrath or Swipe is just about the only thing. And No Time is going to go for the trade. Let's see if he summons the 3/2 with Power of the Wild here. I feel like that would probably be a decent play. Not going to go
Might be,
for it.
yeah, might be just playing around the coin Holy Nova, but um, because you have two health minions.
Yeah. Now, this does give uh, a decent follow up here for Tipo. He's looks like thinking about whether he wants to play the Earthen Ring, maybe the Akanai plus Holy Smite, or just the Thought Steal. It goes for the Thought Steal. These aren't the worst. I wouldn't say they're the best here, though. Power of the Wild and Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah, the best pickup there would have been a copy of Combo.
Yeah,
It's one
definitely.
way to beat Druid.
Yeah. Uh,
So,
yeah, a little unfortunate here. It's like 2 damage ping, not really what we want. But at the same time, No Time doesn't really have an answer to many of these minions. Now, I do appreciate, I think that Thought Steal was probably correct there. Although there was something to be said about playing the Akanai on the last turn, just gearing up for this Earthen Ring, being able to do a
mm,
3 damage ping. And I think that's why he retained the Earthen Ring in hand as well, is that he wanted to use it with Akanai to, use it as removal rather than face healing.
yeah.
So, No Time looks like maybe thinking about Keeper of the Grove here. This Keeper's just going to go straight to the face. And getting a little value trade in with the Azure Drake here. Holy Nova off the top. That's not exactly a perfect clear. Uh, Keeper of the Grove here might be decent. We have a big hand. Got 9 cards in hand here for Tipo and only 4 for No Time. So even if his removal is inefficient, Tipo might be happy to just dump out cards. And I like...
Yeah, T-Po's definitely got a
Mhm,
lot more value in hand, and I'm looking, he had a few turns, it's got an answer for the rag.
right.
Um, and No Time to Cry, his hand is running a bit dry, so he'll be hoping to pick up Ancient of Lore to get some more juice.
Yeah. Ooh, and even going to go for the Coin Blade Master. I kind of like this play. I was thinking just Power of the Wild there. Keeper Power of the Wild, but he's okay ditching the coin this early. I think that's fine. We've got a 7 mana combo here waiting in hand. And not too much else that we'd want to do.
Yeah, next couple of plans mapped out, and he could play the rag, feeling quite safe that there's no BGH in the Druid list here.
Yep. Yeah, no BGH might be a little bit haunting. All right, and using that combo that we were talking about a little earlier there, this Earthen Ring bursting for 3. And Tipo's on the board. He's got a follow up here as well with Power of the Wild in case his board doesn't get removed. And No Time not finding a lot of the minions that he might be wanting here. Now, it's very tempting also to play this Shadow Word Death um, on the
Yeah,
Ancient
I was wondering
Allure.
if you'd consider trying to get some more value just with using the hero power, but I think this is good.
Well,
Just maximum presence on the board.
yeah. And how do you kill this Ragnaros, right?
Mhm.
Like, No Time's got some removal in hand. He's got Pyro, Wrath, and Swipe. So I suppose technically he can remove that, but I don't think he can remove the entire board. I think this Akanai is probably going to be the thing that lives.
Yeah, the pyro is really nice here, getting that 8th point of damage.
Yeah. 8th and ninth.
Oh yes.
And picks up another Wrath. Now that won't help clear the board here. Oh. I'm going to go for Power of the Wild, so doesn't care to clear the whole board. Now that might be a little bit dangerous.
Interesting. Yeah.
Going with the, yeah, double Cleric, Holy Nova, and Hero Power could be very strong. Or just, yeah, Power of the Wild here
Yeah.
really good too.
I think No Time to Cry might have been trying to set up a rag versus rag situation, but with
Yeah.
Tipo going wide here, the 2 clerics plays around it very well.
Yeah, I wonder if even I wouldn't normally think the Circle of Healing would be very good, but I wonder if Circle of Healing would be okay to just get Rag up to 9 health as well. And No Time gonna clear off those 2 Northshire clerics, so there's no more draw left. But yeah, Tipo finding a hell of a card here with Faceless Manipulator. double rag against no BGH. That's going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, has to play the Faceless over Ysera, because if the rag had done that, the 1 and 4, then it would have been counter lethal. Wow!
Wow! Speaking of 1 and 4, multiply that by 2, and you've got a 1 and 16 rag shots that just finished it off. Wow. Okay, so Tipo taking what I would have to say is a very convincing win here with his priest deck against Druid. Not normally what you would anticipate for this matchup, but yeah, Tipo just playing good board control, good board presence, developed his board well, and
Yeah, he got on the
yeah,
board and just curved out really nicely.
yeah,
Yeah, well, that's how you want to play priest. That feels pretty good
yeah,
when the game runs that smoothly.
yeah. When the stars align, it's really fun to play priest. Every 1 in 10 games, that is. All right, so Tipo now going to bring his Worgen Warrior. No Time to Cry, opting for I don't know what you'd call it. It's a hunter deck, but opting for his face slash trap hunter list
Yeah,
here.
I think it's face under teched against rogue more with the extra traps.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's a good way of describing it. Face hunter already pretty decent against rogue. Trap hunter very good against rogue, but they each have kind of some weaknesses in other matchups. So maybe trying to get the best of both worlds here, and get a face deck with some traps in it. And already this is looking like a pretty synergistic warrior hand here from Tipo. He's going to be able to drop the Loot Hoarder. He's got the Pyro Armor Smith Acolyte Commanding Shout combo. All of these cheap cards that can work together with good synergy.
Yeah, the armor smith's nice. Try and stack some armor later against the
Definitely.
face hunter.
Or if you're a
They
bot, you
played
coin it
played the
out.
first game at a lot of pace, so I wonder if things will slow down here with these decks really require you to think through your turns.
This is a super important matchup here. Yeah, absolutely. Is that this hunter deck from No Time to Cry may be the weak point in its lineup against Tipo. So would hope that both players try and navigate this really, really carefully. I think Tipo makes the correct choice here to play Loot Border. I think we really want to retain the Armor Smith, Wild Pyro, Commanding
Mm,
Shout stuff for later on.
yes, a big combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, early turns you just want to draw as much as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Little piece of advice from your Oceania friend Toxor is to never hero power with this Worgen deck. Always be playing something out of hand. And if you run out of cards, then you were drawing wrong or you mulliganed wrong. But I always thought that's a pretty useful piece
Yeah,
of advice.
typically you want to just draw, and make the kill move around turn 9 or 10.
Yeah,
Hopefully, if charges in the last card. But this matchup you can play a bit different. You can even try and go for a kill with like charge on a wild pyro that's been stacked up with the buffs, or um, and you can try and stack armor as well to make the game a bit longer.
yeah,
Kind of
definitely.
depends how you, if you think the freezing trap's up or not.
Right. The freezing trap is definitely going to be a key card of this because the combo all relies on this guy Raging Worgen here to charge and hit face for 32. So we're going to see Tipo probably try and find that freezing trap and trigger it with anything but the Worgen, which will require him to have some good board presence here.
So play the Armorsmith out a bit early here. I think probably just trying to win board control. Um,
I mean, I honestly, I like his position now. I think I would have been a little bit
yeah,
more conservative with the Armor Smith, but we see this is going to be a monster Pyro turn with Pyro Coin, Commanding Shout, Battle Rage.
yeah.
Just a lot of
No
armor
Time
to
to
get
Cry
through.
didn't have a clean way to clear it without trading the bow and a minion, so I just opted to ignore it. But that's it's been pretty painful with the amount of armor gained here
Yeah, that's a lot of armor.
in card draw.
Yep. And following it up here, now we got 9 in hand for Tipo. He's got um, another armor smith in hand, so we're not feeling scared about what could possibly happen here. I'm gonna gain at least 3 more armor here from the juggler
Yeah,
unleash.
even the sequence of the knives is unlucky there.
Yeah,
The armor
forcing.
smith
Yeah,
falling last.
yeah. It's definitely a pretty fortunate situation here for Tipo, and he's looks like he's very close to having his combo as well. He's got Worgen, he's got 2 Inner Rage, he's got Rampage. He's just missing Charge, and I guess the second copy of Rampage here in order to do 32. Now, he won't actually need to do
No, he
32
doesn't have to do
damage.
two.
Yeah, he's not
He's
gonna.
got 20 as soon as the charge is drawn next turn,
Yeah, that's a.
and 26 on the 8 mana turn if charge is drawn.
Yeah, that's not gonna need too much to take down this 24 HP, and also, thinking he's got some weapons left as well in the deck. He's got still Fiery War Axe, and Arcanite Reaper might play those weapons out and just get some damage done with those, make the combo even easier.
Yes, there's a secret going up now, so he has to think. Oh, there's the
Ooh,
charge,
yeah.
so
So,
that's 20, I believe. Or
yeah, let's see. It's
if my
kind
maths
of
is right at this early in the morning.
4, 6, 8, 10, 13. So 26 if he
26
plays
next
the
turn,
full
yeah.
thing, I think. Yeah.
And just has just tested the trap and activated it, so unless there's another trap come up, there's no taunts or anything in the Druid list.
Yeah, I don't think that there's an Tipo here looking and calculating himself. You can see.
So how many cards left in the deck?
Yeah, 11 cards left in the deck here for Tipo.
Yeah,
So, uh,
already drawn pretty much the full combo, or as good as you can get it by turn 8.
yeah, he's got everything he needs, and I think he pretty well knows it here. It's a very fortunate draw. Just gets the exact board clear armor gain that he needs to stay alive early on, and then finds the combo here. I'm glad that he took some time. I mean, Morgan, I feel like you have to take time no matter what on your turns, but I'm glad that he took some time, made sure to double check his calculations.
Yeah, it's classics math warrior.
Yeah, not to be played early on in the game in the day. Okay, Tipo going up 2-0, getting another win here with his Worgen Warrior. And
So the aggro
yeah,
paladin left, right?
yeah, it's aggro paladin into miracle rogue. This I'm not sure exactly what kind of druid we would call it. It's a druid deck for sure. Um, it's
Combo
got
druid.
yeah, a little bit lower curve than you'd normally see. And then the last deck
Might,
here is
yeah.
Face
I'd
Hunter.
probably lead with that if I was no time to cry. It's got the wild pyros to make it pretty nice against aggro paladin.
I think so too. Yeah, anything that deals instances of 1 damage is always going to be strong against these paladin decks that can kind of flood the board. He's going to opt for Hunter. Hunter can do okay against this deck as well. One of the big keys here we were talking about earlier before the show was as the aggro paladin, because you get so badly punished by Unleash the Hounds and Knife Juggler and Explosive Trap, you really want to be mulliganing for 4 drops, especially with No Time's deck having so few 1 drops, like No Argent Squire. Really kind of sets up for an uncontested wide board early for Tipo, but he's going to want to build tall rather than wide here, I
There's
think.
9 4 drops. It's quite
Yeah,
a heavy aggro paladin, really.
yeah. Um, I feel like that might be a few too many. There might be some that could be cut there in favor of other things, but oh no, I'm surprised. I think the Abusive Sergeant here actually was a good idea. We're sitting on Blessing of Kings. That's really the ideal card that we want to play next turn. And having 1 minion on the board is a little scary against Hunter for exactly this reason. They can play Misdirection or Freezing Trap, and now we can't really attack them.
Yeah, I like the freezing trap against the loot hoarder.
Yeah, it's really
It'll take
smart.
a while for Tipo to empty his hand in case he does have the divine favors,
Yeah,
and by then the hunter should be pretty low on cards.
Yeah, yeah, stopping any of that cycling that the Paladin has is pretty important here. Now, a really awkward spot for Tipo. You don't really want to play Abusive Sergeant plus. I mean, you're not going to get the Abusive Sergeant damage
Just
anyway.
opting to not play around the one of.
Yeah.
You got three games to burn with this. This being ahead 2-0, so it makes you want to take a few more risks.
Yeah.
Having those extra games in your back pocket.
Yep. Yep. I think that's a good observation. That a lot of times when we go, we can pick the deck last that we most want to high roll with, and just do stuff like that, where you say if it's not freezing trap, you get hit for 6, and you're gonna have a hell of a time removing this loot order. And like you say, if we lose this game and lose the next one, we still have a 50-50 chance to win. So not the worst idea there to just throw the Blessing of Kings out. I think maybe playing the Abusive Sergeant and trying not to get too much value out of it on turn 3 would have been the correct choice. But
Mm.
now we're
Mm.
stuck in a very, very awkward spot. These are two cards you never want to see next to each other in your hand. And he's going to opt for playing this 4-mana loot order here with a hero power. Not going for the True Silver. Now, True Silver, this is a big equalizer in this matchup. We get 8 damage to our opponent's face plus 4 points of healing for ourselves in an aggro versus aggro matchup, which means 12 damage swing overall from it, which is pretty huge. We got Snipe, and we got Misdirect.
Combination of explosive snipe and
Yeah,
misdirect.
well, Snipe finds the Knife Juggler. Gonna get to draw another card here. Now that is actually a pretty good pickup. It does enable this Leroy a little bit more, but it does give us also the bananas to play Divine Favor, so we might be able to actually draw cards with it. At this point in the game, we're just trying to kill our opponent, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too slow because No Time to Cry is getting those extra power charges. They got a lot of damage potential building up with the Leroy in hand.
Yeah, already triggered 2 secrets here on the bow. Got a third one up.
Be fun to see like a pumped up Leroy with some bananas on it. There
I
we
think
go.
that's what we're gonna see. Yeah, is just send it right. I don't know if I'd play the second banana. We have a Worgen Infiltrator, and only Consecration clears Worgen, so I like the choice here just to hero power, play it safe.
Yeah, set up lethal next turn. There's no taunts or healing, right?
No
So
taunts, no healing.
there's some healing
Oh,
through Silver Champion.
yeah.
Yeah,
And Tyrion, technically, I guess, is the only taunt.
true.
Now,
But that is an explosive, is that right? Or is it misdirect?
this one's Misdirection.
Misdirect, okay.
Yeah. So carefully figuring out here, Tipo, what does he play? And it's a really tricky situation here because you're facing down lethal. You have to start racing. You really want to get
I
the
mean,
healing out of True Silver,
you have to swing with the true silver
but you
just
heal
to
for
not die on board, so
right.
we'll be activating the misdirect, yeah.
And Tipo going for the other high roll here.
So Harakiri with the with the big jungle man.
Well, he's gonna kill one player. Ends up killing his own his own commander here. All right, so no time able to pull it back here, making it 2-1. He's got to win with that hunter deck. Still got to win with rogue and druid, which isn't really the
Which is
hardest.
entirely possible.
I think that is
Entirely
definitely possible. We'll see which one he chooses to bring. I feel like rogue has a little bit better chance, maybe. The wild pyro in the druid is really good, but rogue just in general, it has a lot of it's very good against aggro decks if it gets the tempo and just takes control of the board.
Yeah, it can be quite draw dependent for the rogue here. You're looking for obviously backstab your side, but fan And off coin, I always try and keep prep.
Definitely. I think prep is a keep no matter what. It's just always going to be good. It enables those big tempo swings that are so important in this matchup. We'll be interested to see how Tipo decides to develop here, whether it's coin knife juggler or leper gnome. One of the powerful plays with this deck can be knife juggler, coin, argent protector on 3. Just getting that knife juggler 3/2 divine shield's pretty hard to deal with without sap. I also do like the coin juggler here. The reason being, No Time doesn't have a coin, which means if he has backstab, he's going to have to burn the backstab here. And that's a combo activator. So Tipo, I think, playing correctly and gets rewarded for it big here. Argent Protector on the Knife Juggler. Gonna have a strong follow-up with Loot Hoarder Leopardome.
Yeah, I like the prep hand here because you can weapon and SI and set up for a weapon deadly poison next turn.
Yep, and with the Blade Flurry in hand, also that's a good opportunity as well to just clear the entire board and get the tempo back. So not really a direct way to deal with this SI right now. Dropping a bunch of 2/1s on the board, not the worst thing, but we may see a return Blade Flurry even without the poison. We'll see how much No Time wants to play with fire here.
Yeah, it might even expect another clear here because No Time to Cry burned the fan quite cheaply.
Yeah,
Which if he only had the one board clear, might be more reluctant to do. So.
yep. And it's kind of an awkward spot now. Not the worst, though. We do have a way to reload the board with 3 minions. Can't deal with all 3 of them next turn, so Blessing of Kings will probably come down. No Time has taken a little bit of damage here. He's at 22. There's not a ton of charge damage in Tipo's deck, but there is Avenging Wrath. There's Leroy. So there are some chargers here. There's one copy of Blessing of Might as well. I think I misspoke here because No Time very able to clear this board. That nice
Yeah,
shadow
I guess
step
it
on
had
the
the
SI.
option to save Shadow Step with Leroy, but opting just to maintain board, which I think is the correct decision.
I think so too. Yeah, the Paladin deck can end up with just a bunch of spells in hand, and if they do, then you know they're not going to be able to rebuild the board ever. And this Argent Squire here, buffed up Argent Squire, might be a little tough to deal with. Got the sap now. That's going to be a really good
Nice.
response.
Yeah.
And we'll see if Tipo's going to feel like he's under enough pressure. He has to equality consecrate this. It would feel pretty bad to...
Yeah, No Time to Cry has a 2-turn lethal, so will need to be removed here.
Yeah, I'm not... Oh, and yeah, okay, and yeah, he's just going to go for the 2-turn lethal. Well, there aren't too many choices here. I could understand the desire to build the board up, but we're facing down 10 damage. We know we're just dead to Leroy on the next turn. So Equality Consecrate feels necessary, but with the Leroy Shadow Step in hand, that's lethal for No Time to Cry here.
Yeah, it feels kind of bad clearing because you can't establish board using all your 6 mana.
Right. And it looks like he's going to go for it. I think this is the smart play. Probably still knows that Leroy is in hand. Not a super high chance to have drawn this second Shadow Step here. But Tipo, there's nothing he can do there against this Shadow Step Leroy for perfect lethal. Heads up play there from No Time, putting his Deadly Poison Dagger on and whacking face with it last turn. That was real smart.
Yeah, it's good because you're starting the matchup quite defensive, and then you got to have the awareness to flip the switch there and spot the right timing to go all out.
Yep. Didn't even need a Gadgets and Auctioneer. So tying it up here,
No, the card's
2-2.
pretty overrated, really.
Yeah, it's not really necessary to win. Leroy is the card that is really the winner in this matchup, or in all matchups, I guess. So that's going to bring it to a quick game 5 here. We've got aggro Paladin for Tipo against No Time's low curve, lowish curve Druid deck. Not a bad start. Argent Squire, pretty much the best card that you can start with against Druid. Love to pair that up with Blessing of Might. I'm not a fan of keeping Divine Favor against Druid. I feel like it's one of those things where 45% of the time it's going to be good, and it's probably not worth keeping a card in your opening hand that's not good more than 50% of the time. It's tempting. You think Druids usually have at least a few cards in hand, but with Tipo's list, he's got a lot of 4 drops, a lot of things stacked up there at the top end. So if he draws a few of those Divine Favors, just going to be dead. He's going to be sitting on like Avenging Wrath and Tyrion trying to get Divine Favor off. The Juggler is, I think, worth keeping. Keep Juggler, get Argent Protector if you can. Yeah, I'm surprised to see him keep that Divine Favor.
Yeah. With a Druid list, one of the main differences over a standard combo Druid is the 3-drop here with the Harvest Column. It's going to be a lot nicer against for trading a couple of times into the Paladin board versus say an Earthen Ring Farseer or a BGH.
Yep. Yeah, those Harvest Columns so good at anti-aggro. Really trip up aggro decks. And the Pyro.
No Wild Growth or Innovate though, so will be a relatively slow start even with the nice curve.
Yeah, what do you think of this Knife Juggler play?
Um, I don't like it that much because you do just get wrecked by Innovate Keeper.
Yeah, and there are a couple of cards that were kept here in No Time's hand, so I'd be scared of that. It's also just kind of we get stymied against Wrath. Um, that said, I think with some lucky juggles here, Tipo may be able to clear this. Sets himself up to be swiped, but there is no swipe in No Time's hand, and No Time getting pretty fortunate there. This knife not hitting the damage column.
Should have a pretty reasonable Divine Favor next turn. Only one card's going to be able to be played.
Yep,
Opts not to.
and gets to keep the Loot Hoarder here as well, so gets an extra card out of Divine Favor.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually turning out well. He's hoping probably to get Leper Gnome here or Argent Squire if he can to play an additional 1-drop. Doesn't find either one of those. But does have some powerful 4-drops, has the True Silver Champion. This Hammer of Wrath can help trade up as well. Tipo just wants both players really just want a couple of turns here to be able to stabilize and play out some of these big threats. Whoever starts to get board tempo here with their minions and removal is really just going to kind of set the precedent for this game, I think. All right. No Time going for a clear. And I think we'll probably see Consecration here.
Yeah, so many removals on the Paladin hand here.
I can also see this line with True Silver attacking face. Follow that up with a Consecration. There's no way these things are getting buffed up enough to stay alive. There's only one other Power of the Wild, or yeah, Power of the Wild in the deck. And
Every time you buff it,
yeah,
it loses a
yeah,
health anyway.
exactly. Yeah, I don't actually mind this play at all. He can set up for an Avenging Wrath on the next turn to clear, depending on
Yeah.
what's played here. And pretty decent odds
Ooh,
here to smack in. Well, that's his.
works out quite nicely.
Yeah, I would probably clear with the Consecration here,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
That said, though, one thing that I have noticed is that although this is good because we develop a minion, if we save Avenging Wrath until too late and we don't have equality to play with it, it's just going to hit like a bunch of super beefy minions. It's not going to get any face damage done. And our win condition
Yeah,
really is to kill the Druid, right?
I definitely like the Consecrate there though with four 4 hit points of minions. I mean, I don't know how you go with Avenging Wrath, but I need like way better odds before I play that card.
Yeah. No, I can
See
definitely
like 7
respect
go
that.
face when there's 4 targets.
Yeah, maybe I think that probably describes my luck here with this deck pretty well too. With no like Ancient of War though, I guess we're a little bit happier to have Avenging Wrath. There aren't as many beefy minions in No Time's deck. Um, and might send it here with Avenging Wrath with the idea that a consecration follow-up will
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
all of the Violet Teacher little
Students.
guys, yeah. And gets the perfect number of hits there. Brings it down to 2, ready to follow up with Consecration next turn, and maybe Hammer of Wrath also. No Time gonna innervate out for the hero power, getting a little bit more HP, getting that 1/1 on the board. We're set up for a clear here with Hammer plus Consecration.
Thing is that every turn the Druid's going to be playing minions. Um, and you're starting to get into combo range yourself, so you really got to try and take back the board somehow. So yeah, I kind of like developing something, even if you don't get a full clear, and you've got one more turn before the combo 9-mana combo comes out.
Yeah, I think that's a very wise observation there. It just feels like we get so far behind by playing Hammer of Wrath. And if we can play Hammer of Wrath on face, that's even better. We have a lot of damage in hand. We got 7 here in hand plus Hammer of Wrath for 10.
Yeah,
So,
Leroy draw would be enough, right?
yeah, in
13,
fact, even just, well, now that the hero powers come down. No, I think this
16,
is lethal.
13, yeah.
That's exact lethal, I think. 4, 7, 10, 13. And Tipo finds it.
Wow.
Okay,
A
that's a
really nice play the turn before to not use the Hammer of Wrath there and try and set up a sticky minion.
yeah,
Really nice
really
as well, yeah.
yeah, really showing some experience with the deck there, keeping his eye on the goal of the deck, which is to smoke down your opponent, and yeah, finishing it out strong there. So we've got Tipo is our new EU champion, taking it
Priest
home.
champion.
Yeah,
He took
that's
18
special.
tournaments.
That's super special. I got a priest champion. Not only that, but did not bring a single druid or rogue deck to the game. So
Also takes the moral victory.
definitely, I think and win. He wins the finals, but more importantly, he wins the crowd's hearts by not bringing those.
Yeah. Good showing by No Time to Cry. Almost a back-to-back champion there.
Yeah,
And I'm glad it went to five games after both players having to wait for a week to
yeah,
close that out.
yeah. I mean, I'm glad that we got it started in the first place. But yeah, really getting our money's worth here with this with the final finals going the full stretch, and that was cool. I was I'm happy to see a priest do so well in this tournament. He was very convincing with his priest victories. There, it wasn't like this what we've seen a lot of times where you have like a priest deck in the finals and they flop. They have to hero power a bunch. They just don't get the cards that they wanted to draw. But he totally does. He totally gets it, which is fantastic. Really fantastic. Well, we'll see if we can get a little interview here with Tipo. Ask him some questions about this. Not sure what country he's from, but I know that English is not his first language. I have to say, big props to a lot of these players in EU who do the English language interviews, even though English is sometimes not even their second language. So yeah, we'll see if we can get a little interview with him. I'd love to ask him about the decks. We can take a look at those decks right now here. So here are the winning deck lists. This this priest deck, Ysera and Mind Control, are really cool deck. The kind of thing we don't see all that often. So yeah, that's a fantastic thing. And Yeah, I mean, how much priest do you play? Do you have much experience with priest?
I mean, every like month or two, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna play some priest, and then I get about 10 games in, and I'm like, yeah, I'm never playing priest again. So
Yeah,
yeah, definitely one of my least played classes. Quite
yeah,
frustrating.
yeah. I can't say I've spent much time playing priest either. It's one of those things where I feel like, well, you know, it
It's
just,
tricky to build. You like, you build a control matchup, and then you lose to like a control warrior. You're like, okay, I'm gonna put like a extra thought steal and an extra mind control in, and then you just like start losing all the aggro matchups. So
yeah.
hard to find the right balance.
Yeah, it really is. I think you have to have such a fine-tuned list, or fine-tuned lists. Really, I think some of the top priest players that we've seen have small variations in their priest lists, and and just depending on the texture of the meta at any given time, they try and use that, one deck over another that's teched in a certain way. Um, so yeah, I'm pretty stoked. Let me get Tipo in the call here. All right. Hey, Tifo, welcome.
Hi,
Congratulations.
thank you.
uh,
Congratulations, dude.
yeah. I think you made a lot of fans very happy today with your decks.
Yeah, please victory on the EU segment of tournament. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was very lucky today.
uh, Now, we want to talk about your decks here for a second. So you did not bring Druid or Rogue. Why
Yeah,
not?
I think I focus on anti-meta lineup. I don't want to play so much mirror matches with Druid or Rocks, and they just have freeze for fun and Pally.
Yeah, but they worked. Um, were you trying to beat Druid or try to beat Rogue with this anti-meta lineup that you played?
My plan was to ban druids all the time and play other classes, lose to Rogus, and try to win 2 games with other decks.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
it worked.
yeah, I mean the lineup is pretty good against Rogue. I would say Priest maybe has a little trouble with Rogue, but the Hunter deck, the Warrior can do fine, and the Paladin deck can do fine against Rogue. So it seems like that was a very smart decision on your part. I have to ask you about your Priest deck here. So Ysera and Mind Control. What were your thoughts behind that?
I test this deck on ladder, and it shows quite well. Isera is well performing in the end game when opponent out of resources, and you can simply push with infinity cards of generating of Isera, and mind control is another removal for cards like Isera or Ragnaros, Sylvanas sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And you played two faceless manipulators in here too. What were your thoughts
Yeah,
behind that?
Faceless is quite good against Zul because of Doomguard, and against control matches you can do Faceless and Shadow War Death on Ragnar or something big targets. Uh, it's another mind control
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean, you can even faceless a Sylvanas and then Shadow Word Death your own Sylvanas to capture
Yeah.
theirs.
Those play, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Um, Now, in a lot of the priest decks we've seen in tournaments, they haven't brought Shadow Word Death, or if they did, they only brought one copy. Uh, is it because of the Faceless Manipulator that you brought two copies of Shadow Word Death, or what were your thoughts behind that?
I thought there are much more control decks on the tournament, and I bring two Shadow Deaths. And in ladder, I actually face a lot of hand blocks. It's very helpful with hand blocks. And Ragnarok's removal is very important in the games. And I don't want to sit with hand 10 cards and don't have any Shadow of Death in it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. It surprises me that other players don't bring Shadow Word Death because it's a good threat. I mean, 3 mana killing anything that costs 5 or more always seems like a good deal to me. So I'm glad that you brought 2. It seems to work out really well.
Yeah, against Rogue, it's can beat Van Cleef sometimes with more than 4 stats.
Yeah, anything with Cold Blood.
Yeah.
Got a question, Tipo, and yeah, big congratulations. I'm sure you have lots of fans after this this tournament. Was there any deck? I mean, I guess all your decks performed to win, but was there any deck you sort of had a second thoughts or regrets about bringing didn't perform maybe as well as you thought it might?
I don't understand your English.
Sorry.
Are there any decks that you would have maybe not brought? A deck that you thought lost some games that it shouldn't have lost?
I think party deck is bad. I make it from aggro version. I put Tyrion, put much more draw power in it, but it is very bad performing against aggro and mid decks, I think. And Hunter is quite heavy. I have a lot of games in this tournament where I sit with 7, 8, and 6 drops, and it's painful to play.
Yeah, this Hunter deck is very difficult to begin with. The list has many one of things like Flare, Arcane Shot, a lot of things that you have to kind of juggle properly in order to play it well. Do you have a lot of experience playing this Hunter deck on the ladder?
Not quite a lot of experience, but this is actually not my deck. I see it from my friend, and I like it. I like it counters rock pretty well. It's anti-rock list actually, and Captain Greenskin well performed with infinite weapon charges.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
all of the traps, infinite weapon charges, green skin, infinite weapon charges. Yeah, pretty much never run out of a weapon if you draw one to begin with.
yeah.
Do you want me to send you a good aggro paladin list for next time?
I have one.
I've got one. I've got one. You're talking to the aggro paladin guy here, so I could probably send you one over that might be a little bit more streamlined. Although this one won a tournament, so it can't be too bad.
Were you sweating a bit after you went up 2-0 quite early, and then you lost the next 2 games? Were you quite stressed in that last game?
I think Party is quite situational deck. I think 1 of 3 times it will work, and it worked.
That's a good way of saying it. It has so many 1-drops. Eventually, it will be consistent. I think its matchup into Druid isn't too bad. Druid has trouble dealing with consistent boards of small creatures and divine shield creatures. And over time, they can just get worn down. You have 2 copies of Equality that are helpful. And, other things, Blessing of Kings, that can trade up into other minions. So it seems like it's pretty decent into Druid there.
I think it works only with No Time to Cry version of Druid because of lack of towns in the Druids. Paladin always hard to beat opponent face without towns. And when you face Senjin, and some kind of you can't push a lot of damage in face, and you can't win because druids can build a board after the towns and simply kills you. But yeah, double quality, double consecration helps with mid games. Also, Tyrion can perform well at the end game. Nobody in ladder accepts Tyrion's in this aggro list, and it's work well when your opponent don't know you have Tyrion.
Yeah, it's an unexpected list too. Like you say, your opponent may not have very much experience playing against aggro paladin, and there are a couple of things with aggro paladin that are important to have experience with. So we saw you get a big divine favor on turn 4 in the last game. Now, there wasn't really a way for your opponent to play around it, but I was interested to know, do you normally keep Divine Favor in your mulligan against Druid?
I think in this match I have such a good hand with first drop, second drop, and my opponent have a coin. I think he will have more casts than me anyway, and I will draw with Divine Favor 2 or more, then I keep it in my hand.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it, yeah. Um, and you had a really good play here at the end. So the second to last turn, you you consecrated to kill the Violet Teacher, and you could have played Hammer of Wrath to clear the Druid, the Ancient of Lore, but you developed your Knife Juggler instead. Can you explain that choice to us?
I have 2 buffs in my hand, +4/+4 and Blessing of Minds, and I think if I develop the board, I can. I simply will have one creature if he has no spells in hand to clear the board, and I will buff one creature and push 7 damage with Blessing of Kings and Blessing of Minds, and exactly 9 mana for Hammer of Wrath. Then
Yeah, it was a good job on calculating that. I think a lot of players would have missed that, get caught up in clearing the board again. But you'd already done a lot of damage to face. You calculated it well that if Knife Juggler survives, not even a hero power saves your opponent. If the Argent Protector survives, a hero power does save him, but then you can follow it up, the next turn, just get 1 damage off. So
another reason because I don't kill the tree because I have first turn. Druid has 8 mana next turn. He can't do combo for 9 mana, and he play one innervate and coin, and I think it costs the risk to develop the board.
that's a very, very smart thing. Thunder was pointing that out as well, that your opponent didn't have 9 mana, so you aren't really worried about getting comboed unless they have a second innervate in hand, in which case they probably could have played the combo on the last turn anyway. So, yeah. Smart plays there. We haven't talked too much about the Worgen Warrior. Is this a deck that you've played a lot on the ladder?
I climbed it into Legend. It's pretty standard Worgen Warrior as you see, but I replaced Talnus for second Commander Shout. It's very helpful a lot of matches because you have 2 Wild Hero combos, and you can clear 2 strong boards from your opponent and wait for combo in your hand.
Yeah, it performed really well here today. You had a great starting hand with Armorsmith, Pyro, Taskmaster, Commanding Shout, Loot Hoarder, and Coin. Pretty much everything you would, and Acolyte, everything that you would want out of this hand. That must have felt pretty good to be looking at those starting cards.
Actually, I was pretty scared to face Hunter with Worgen Warrior because of freeze and misdirection. It's quite hard to play with the secrets on combo decks because he simply can do one trap and your combo is useless.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing that we were talking about as well before maybe during the game here, was that if he's able to set up one of those traps and keep the board clear, you really don't have a way of killing him. And maybe it may be one of the reasons that we don't see as much Worgen Warrior on the ladder is that with smart play you can kind of just stop the combo sometimes in the right situation. But you made it work. You had a great start and got enough armor to survive there with, I think, about 10, 11 HP, and then deliver the combo as well. So overall, yeah, really good match, well played. You're going home with $50 US. I don't know how much that converts to in your local currency. Do you have any plans for that prize money? You don't have to share if you don't want.
When I start to play tournament, I don't think I will win the entire tournament. I am pretty happy. I don't have any plans.
Yeah, congratulations on winning the first tournament in which you competed. That's very impressive. Do you have plans to come back for the next EU tournament to defend your championship crown?
Yeah, why not?
Cool. All right. How about, do you have any players you'd like to shout out? Any practice partners that you've worked with that you want to give some attention to, or anybody else in the community that you want to say anything to?
I don't think so. I have a lot of friends in game. I always spectate the matches. I think all community is helping me with this. Thank you to all.
Well, community is happy to have you. I think you have a lot of new fans here today. Seeing you win a tournament with a lineup, I don't know if we have ever seen somebody win a tournament without Druid or Rogue. So you may be the first one there, which is very impressive. So yeah, special congratulations for that.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Thunder, did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask?
No, you've wrapped it up nicely there.
All right. Well, Tipo, once again, congratulations, and appreciate you waiting for another week for us to get the finals started. Glad that you guys were able to resolve those issues with the friend list. And thanks so much for coming on and giving an interview. Really big congratulations again, and good work. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next one.
Thank you.
All right, folks, on behalf of myself, Thunder, and Derp, who couldn't make it here today but was here for the casting of the last part of the tournament, I'd like to give a big thanks to our viewers. And for those of you who haven't joined yet, we have a classic Hearthstone Discord server where you can meet Tipo, me, Thunder, anybody else in the community. A lot of good advice in there, a lot of good players streaming and helping out. So that link is in the description for the channel. Otherwise, we're going to take off for the day. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. And again, Thunder, thanks so much for coming on here at such an early hour. And Tipo, congratulations again.
Yeah, my pleasure.